ordinances as they apply to new housing development. For example, they seek to relax height and density restrictions with multifamily units and allow accessory dwelling units, also known as ADUs, in detached single-family districts. These ADU changes can, in some cases, double the density of neighborhoods and undermine any semblance of housing appeal for existing homeowners. Do you support these types of changes? And please explain your answer.
No, Tom, those changes has to be incorporated as part of the changes to the comprehensive plan, which is going to be done with the citizens' input. So, in the current comprehensive plan, even if we take the town center area, we came back with an overlay zoning on that. So, in that ordinance, we definitely came back and said, okay, what is the maximum height a building can go? Okay? And what is the square footage of the building? So, we identified those aspects on that. And even to get to the maximum, they have multiple criteria like that. The green infrastructure, sustainability. So there are multiple, open green space. So there are multiple aspects in that zoning application that the applicant has to fulfill even to get the existing building height and the square footage required for that. So definitely we are not planning on changing anything on that angle without residents' input, and I don't see that's needed yet for the John Street. So we have a good comprehensive plan and built based on the citizens' input, and we will stick to that and plan our growth accordingly. Thank you.
Anita, this is lengthy, so let me give you this. Some municipalities in the U.S. are pushing back against existing zoning ordinances as they apply to new housing development. For example, they seek to relax height and density restrictions with multifamily units and allow accessory dwelling units, also known as ADUs, in detached single-family districts. These ADU changes can, in some cases, double the density of neighborhoods and undermine any semblance of housing appeal for existing homeowners. Do you support these types of changes? And please explain your answer.
Well, as you know, the John Street has already been built out more than 90%. And there's more and more demand for many more new home buyers to come in and live in the city. So there has been constant push to change the zoning to make that the higher density homes. However, when we do that, it's going to change the character of the city. Our city is number one for a reason. It's beautiful, green, sparsely sparse homes, like nice garden route. That's what people like about it, and that's why they are coming to the city. We have recently rezoned the Medley space where we have allowed 48 homes per acre in the Medley. So now the council has zoned, permitted zoning of 900 apartments and townhomes. That's going to bring 2,000 people. It's going to be the densest area of John Street, causing a lot of safety issues, a lot of traffic congestions. We already have a very, very tight infrastructure, very, very heavy and pressured infrastructure where the cars are lined up mile and half mile and so. So it's kind of, although it's tempting to have the more development allowed and change the zoning, but it's not good, in my opinion, it's not good for the character of the city. And also coming back to the comprehensive plan. Shake Rec was supposed to be a comprehensive plan, in 2018 comprehensive plan. They're supposed to have a minimum 1 acre per land. But recently the city council has just allowed a home which is half an acre per house. Answer to my fellow opponent, he said that it's within the zoning, but it's not. Although the land is 200 acres, but the buildable land is only maybe 65% of that. So as per the plan, they can only use the buildable land approach while allotting the time frame, allowing the zoning of the size of the home, and it is in violation of the comprehensive plan. And I don't approve that. Thank you.
Stay right there. So this is probably from a gold investor, okay? It's a little negative. With the majority of city revenues from lost projected to decline between 2023 and 2032, along with a slowdown in the job and housing markets, how would you, as a city council member, build a financial buffer to help weather the economic storms ahead?
Yeah, that's a deep question and serious question and concerning question. So that's exactly why we have to stop the wasteful spending. That's exactly why we have to save money and not spend in the nice to have vanity fancy projects. That is why we have to focus on responsible spending, and we cannot utilize taxpayers' dollars in the things to fulfill the wants of few and burden 85,000 people. Whatever money we are collecting today from the lost, that needs to be saved and only be utilized towards the essential services, critical services, and to operate the city. And we can build, we know the recession is coming, it's long overdue. So we have to save the money in the reserve fund for the rainy day. Just like in the COVID, in the first 3 years, there was not much income, but the previous council, the previous government, they were fantastic. They were fiscally responsible, and they had enough reserve for the city to be carried through those difficult years when there was not much sales was happening. So that is why my strong opinion is to stop wasteful spending, stop spending money on the nice to have fancy projects and focus on the essential services. And while we do that, we can handle those situations when the time comes. That's what I'm thinking. Thank you.
Would you like me to repeat that, Dilip?
Yes,
Okay. With a majority of city revenue from lost projected to decline between 2023 and 2032, along with a slowdown in the job and housing markets, how would you as a city council member build a financial buffer to help weather the economic storms ahead?
So, city already has a resource. $30 million is sitting in the resource. So, that's the rainy day one. So, we do have a plan, and we put like 3 months of resource and cash flow stabilization. So, we have a $30 million sitting in there for those resources. So, on the lost assumptions, again, I mentioned that before too. Our financial projections for the last few years exceeded, except for 2014, but the other revenue streams definitely made up for that. So we're not going to build a financial model projecting what's going to happen in 10 years. So we build based on the past and looking at like the available information. Our financial model worked, definitely, and we will continue on that one. So we're not going to tweak it until it proves otherwise. So going back to my opponent's thing of like not funding the essentials. As I mentioned before, our essentials are $64 million out of $84 million budget. It's always funded. So we have the $20 million cushion in there to fund the accruals and the capital projects. So the other thing my opponent mentioned, the 40 unfunded projects, this is a wrong notion. Those 40 are the requests from the department heads, which is being bucketed into 3 tiers, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So it has personnel and other requests. So those are not really the capital projects. So the police chief request or the fire chief's request in the tier 2, tier 3, those are the ones for the future. So we'll definitely fund them. As I mentioned before, we have a surplus, so we can do that. Another thing my opponent mentioned is like the city's population, we need to have more police officers. Don't just look at the ratio, look at the crime. We are the lowest crime at 7.7 crimes per 1,000 residents. So don't just look at the number of residents and the ratio of the neighboring cities and fund the increase the number of officers. Thank you.
This is public service, public safety question. There are going to be plans for pedestrian and bike infrastructure and road widenings. How would you prioritize projects for improving traffic flow, pedestrian safety, and alternative transportation, walking, biking, public transit? What trade-offs are acceptable? i.e., example given widening versus preserving green space. Next question.
So that's like recently we've been debating on that one. So the new sidewalks that we're planning on building, they're looking at like 8 feet or 10 feet. So we want to make sure that the safety is an aspect. So some places where we are letting the golf carts go in there, so we want to make sure the sidewalks have enough width in there. So if you look at the Jones Beach Road, we wanted to make sure that we have those sidewalks and also preserving the green space between them. So we are working on making sure that the sidewalks have the connectivity, the trails are there. And the tunnel definitely helps. So even from here, we could go to the Boardwalk Town Central. And from there, we can even go to the Medley. From there, again, we can go to Collie Creek. So that's a connectivity. We are focusing on getting Johns Creek to that point. So our focus is making sure the green space is protected and connectivity is established between the sidewalks and the trails. And the other project that we are working on is the Chattahoochee River. We want to make sure that that has a connectivity and residents have access to that one. So yes, definitely we are working on those things and things are in progress.
Anita, there are ongoing plans for pedestrian and bike infrastructure and road widenings. How would you prioritize the projects for improving traffic flow, pedestrian safety, and alternative transportation, i.e. walking, biking, public transportation, transit? What trade-offs are acceptable? Example given is widening versus preserving green space.
Yeah, that is a great question. I know there are a lot of projects taking place where, and not recently, the council recently has approved the road widening, adding the bike lane on both sides of the Barnwell and adding a 10-foot lane on Barnwell to make it easy to make it bike friendly and walking friendly, so people can access the Chattahoochee Reserve and other places like that. We have to find a balance. If we have to ask a question, when the road widening is being asked, we have to ask a question, is it necessary to provide the safety versus taking away the green space? If the answer is by adding the lanes and by adding the bike lanes and the sidewalks, if it's going to add the safety to the people, then it's worth it. Of course, we have to promote, I think I am fully supporting in adding the bike lanes because it promotes the health, promote the connectivity of the people, and when you have the connection from the neighborhoods, between the neighborhoods, and also the connectivity to the parks and recreations, it's a healthy thing, it's a great thing, and I do support that. We have to balance and we have to see the balance where it's important to keep the nature preserved versus widening the road. But if the balance is safety is priority, then of course we have to compromise on the little bit of losing the green space. That is the fine balance we have to find.
This is a governance question. It's two parts. Do you believe that the city daily operations are the responsibility of the city manager? And the other part is, do you agree that city council provides guidance to the city manager and staff?
Well, that's actually true. The way the city council, the way Johns Creek City Council works in the charter, I think we have a weak mayor system where the board works as the city council works as the board of directors, and the city manager and the staff work as get involved in the daily operation. That is why it's very important that the city council members do not meddle in operations of the city council. I can give you an example. The city was planning to build a makerspace in Collie Creek Park. There's an existing building. It was the old waterworks, water cleansing department, and there was planned to be repurposed and make a makerspace out of it. It was supposed to be a big building, about 14,000 square feet, 40 feet high. It could have been built as it could have been repurposed and used as a robotic center for the students. And that was about to be finalized when my fellow opponent intervened. He went there and interfered with the operation, and he proposed this new plan where he proposed to make 10,000 square feet of building instead of 13,000 square feet building. And he said we can save $400,000. But the funny thing is, this new building is 10,000 square feet versus 13,000 square feet. This building is 23 feet high versus 40 feet high. And then the cost is 2.4 million right now, but then by the time it goes into construction, it might end up becoming 2.9 million, which is the cost of repurposing the old building. So we might end up spending same money to get a smaller facility. So in my opinion, it's a losing battle. It's a missed opportunity. City council members should not meddle in the operation and let them do their job. Thank you.
You may repeat.
Thank you. So the way the charter is written, the city council members are the board of directors. We don't really get involved in the operations. So that's exactly what I was telling. Like, there's a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So if my opponent is saying like, okay, there's a request from the police chief, it's not in that one. Everything that's in the tier 1, we funded it. So us staying away. So she brought up the topic of the makerspace and robotics. So one thing that my opponent is missing is the project. Like it's a $400,000 tax savings for the taxpayers. It's a savings for the taxpayers. And we are getting a new building. And yes, I directed the city staff to do it, not involved in the operations. I told city staff to look at outside the box and said, okay, instead of doing design, big, build, why don't we look at the design, build? That's exactly what we are doing. And it's a fixed bid. My opponent is saying it might be $2.9 million. No, it's a fixed bid. That's what it's going to be, maximum cost. And we get to keep the existing building and still getting a new building. That's what robotics wanted. 10,000 square foot and 23 feet high. That's all they needed. We had an existing 40 feet, so we had to retrofit. So the point is, when you see that the things are not going in the right direction, at least you need to go back and tell the staff to see, okay, can you look at this direction? So that's exactly what I did, and was able to save $400,000 for the taxpayers. So I would, if we're given a choice, I would always do that one. So going back to the main question, sorry. So the governance way it works is city manager gets all the requests from the staff. So we don't get involved with the staff. What we get from the city manager is presented to us. We make a decision on that one. If you have any questions, we reach out to them and ask. So it's not that we need to go into the open records request and get all the information and start questioning this. That's not the governance. So city manager is handling it. That's the way the governance is. That's exactly how we will work, and we'll make sure city is moving in the right direction. We are getting the projects done, things are moving, and we are progressing. So, thank you.
Stay right there. Budget question. The city's about to take an additional, this is an assumption of something, additional $40 million debt in addition to the current debt it already has. This debt could grow even more if the projects are not completed within the estimated cost. The debt results in an increase in taxes to the residents. Will you advocate for a debt limit to control the debt and tax increases? And how else you plan to ensure we don't pay more taxes?
So it's the bond referendum that's put in front of the residents is vote on a $40 million bond. That's like a line of credit. So that's all it's going to be. So for the taxpayers, the current projections, like it just projected based on the interest rate range, but its projections, like if we say $83 per household, that's what it's going to be. That's not going to change. And on the long run, it might come down. Just like what I did for the parts bond. It was at 0.38 millage rate. I was able to drop it down to 0.25. Because that's all we needed, the cash to pay for the bond, for the parts bond. So definitely, like it's a cap. It's a $40 million is on the referendum, and that's a maximum that the city can draw upon it. And if we have other sources of income, we're not going to draw that much. So it's again, it's up for the residents to decide on if it's a right value to put on. So I cannot go into more details on that one as per the city guidelines. So thank you for that, Tunki.
Sure. Okay. The city's about to take an additional $40 million debt in addition to the current debt, assuming something passes. It already has. This debt could grow even more if the projects are not completed within the initial estimated cost. The debt results in an increase in tax to the residents. Will you advocate for a debt limit to control the debt and tax increases? And how else you plan to ensure we don't pay more taxes?
Great question. City already has a lot of debts. We are 8 years into paying $40 million Kali Creek Park debt. We are also we still have $16 more million debt left from the City Hall construction. We are spending $43 million on making boardwalk. I agree it's not for the bond, but we are still a taxpayers' money. So if you are going to take another $40 million bond for something which is going to be forever a losing proposition, we know this project will never make money, it will never break even. Not just that, we'll have to first pay the money, additional taxes to build the building. We'll also have to keep paying the money year after year to sustain it. For example, Sandy Spring has this year they paid $2.5 million subsidy to balance their books for the Performing Arts Center in Sandy Spring. They have 58 hotels, they have malls, they have big commercial establishment, they have money to pay for these things. Do we have that kind of infrastructure? We only have 3 hotels. We do not have big money coming from the lost. So we cannot put the additional burden on taxpayers like that. So not only we are paying to build, we are also keeping to sustain. So I do not believe that we should keep taking bond after debt after debt after debt and keep putting the burden on taxpayers' money. We have to have a fiscally responsible government who makes responsible decisions and safeguard the interest of the people, not of the select few. With the other bond that we have taken, Kali Creek Park and other bonds, when those parks are done, we all can go and use it for free. It's open for everybody to use. But when we pay the money, additional money to build this Performing Arts Center, we cannot go and use it for free. We still have to pay the ticket price, we still have to rent it to host an event or something. So that's why I do not support this additional bonds, I do not support in paying additional taxes. Burden on people. Thank you.
Okay, Anita, see right there. This is a commercial node rezoning question. A commercial landlord has already approached the city about rezoning part of a retail node for high-density housing. In some parts of the nation, this has become a trend with commercial landlords, and it's almost always involves high-density housing. What are your thoughts about this type of rezoning, which could set a precedent for other commercial nodes within John Street?
Yeah, that is a pretty interesting question. It can go either way, actually. But like I said, the city has already been built up 90%. We only have very little green space left. And it's up to the homeowner if they want to sell their property and convert that into commercial zoning or not. But I do not believe we should be rezoning. Our city is famous for nice pastoral green spaces. And if you're going to allow the rezoning for this big commercial establishments, I agree it's going to bring us more money, bring more dollars in lost. At the same time, we will lose the very character of the city. So we have to find a balance where we can actually promote the old and dated strip malls that we have. We can help them revamp and remodernize the city and promote and encourage the new business to come and use those facilities. But we cannot keep changing the zone to the commercial establishments and increase the density of the city. It will lose the desirability of the city and we change the character, and I do not support that.
Like to repeat that?
No, thank you. No, definitely not. Again, there is a reason they have a comprehensive plan. And in the comprehensive plan, it's been identified as different areas, different nodes. What needs to go in there? It's built on the public input. And residents came back and said, okay, this is what we need and this is what can go in those specific areas and nodes. So if it doesn't conform to the comprehensive plan, we should not do it. Because yes, like some commercial nodes, like in the revitalization, yes, like we are going back and looking at it, but we are not going to change anything in the comprehensive plan. And if there is a need to do anything, it will be done with the input of residents and all the business owners in that area. So I'm definitely not supporting those high density at this point because we don't have it and it's not needed in the character areas that John Street is.
All right, Bill, this is a traffic question, but it assumes the following. The performing arts that happens, and it's located in the heart of the city, if it's completed, it will have and bring a ton of traffic to that part of the city. Are there any plans to place or have any traffic studies have been done to deal with this kind of traffic if the pact becomes reality?
So city already done those, they are working on making some of those roads pedestrian friendly. So Lakefield Drive is going to be converted into a walkable pedestrian friendly neighborhood. So the vehicles doesn't even go there if it's not needed. It will be more like the Avalon. So where you don't need to get in there, you don't have to. So yes, that's already been planned, the roundabouts and pedestrian friendly. Our public works department is already working on it and it's there. It's all incorporated in that one. So it's definitely thought out on that one. So it's not really based on the PAC, but even before that, when the town center layout plan was done, it's already planned saying that here is how the roads is going to look like and here is how the pedestrian walkways will be connected, because that town center area will be an open container area, so which definitely need more foot traffic in there, so we want to make sure that people can move around. So yes, like the less traffic in that area definitely helps. So now that I have the time, I'm going to go back and address another thing. My opponent has been saying about the financial strength. One thing we are missing, we are at AAA bond rating. We are in the best financial position ever. Our net position is $500 million. For a size of less than 20 years, and lowest millage rate in the county, getting to that, and per capita, it's $5,500 per capita. It's best in the Fulton County. So again, financially we are in the best position. If anyone is telling you otherwise, that's not true.
Okay, would you like me to repeat? Yeah. The Performing Arts Center, assuming it's passed, is located in the heart of the city. If it's completed, it will have or bring a ton of traffic to that part of the city. Are there any plans to place or have traffic studies have been done to deal with that kind of traffic?
Our city is already suffering and overburdened with this very strong and very big congested area, big traffic issues we are facing. So once the metro is in place, which is going to open up next November, and the PAC approves, and that happens, then imagine the havoc is going to create and cause on our infrastructure and the safety and the traffic. Now my opponent mentioned Avalon. Avalon has big highway right next to it. And it has so much of thousands of parking to manage that issues. How about PAC? We only have 54 parkings for the 800-seat theater. And we are expected to park a few blocks away and walk in the rain, sun, heat, wind, and what have you. So it's, first of all, it's completely impractical. So I really hope and pray that PAC does not go through. So that is the other thing, what they are asking to make, to have this PAC. For some reason they are, the initial feasibility studies had clearly said that this is not suitable for the city. We do not have any highways close to us. We do not have, the land that they're going to build the PAC on is in a tight congested area between the Lakefield Drive and the John Street Parkway. Hardly any space. So it is going to create a severe traffic impact. And that is why I do not approve PAC, and I strongly oppose PAC. And I hope this thing does not go through so we don't have to deal with further traffic issues. And just because neighbor has it, do we have to have it too? No, that's not true. It is not something that we need it, and we do not need to have it, and we do not have to keep creating these issues and problems for the city year after year for generations to come. There's no way we can build any additional big highways close to us. and building additional roads are very expensive, so it is an impractical approach.